So there is an organization called Along Now. Are you familiar with Along Now at all?
Along Now?
Yeah, Long Now Foundation. It's a non-profit based out of San Francisco. It was founded by Stuart Brand and others. I'm not actually. I think Brian Eno may have been one of the other founders.
Brian
It's a very,
Eno.
it's a very interesting group. So Stuart Brand, if you don't know who he is, you know who he is?
Nope.
So he's one of those people that you ought to know who he is. He wrote and edited the Whole Earth catalog in the 70s, which was at the root of a lot of the sort of counterculture stuff that happened from the 70s and 80s. He was a big name in that space, and he's now probably 80 something, but he's basically a very interesting old guy. Him and Kevin Kelly and a bunch of others were again involved in sort of the early days of Wired, and that sort of intellectual grouping of folks in the Bay Area. They have the Long Now Foundation. It's been around for 15, 20 years at this point, probably. A long time. They have a seminar every month called the Seminars About Long-Term Thinking. The next seminar speaker, by the looks of it, is Neil Stephenson, and this will not be his first appearance. They get fascinating people for their things, and their talks are almost amazing.
Neil Stephenson would be a great person to.
I have an idea of how to approach him, which is if we get Elvin on to do one, he knows he's on a first name basis with Neil, and he would, I'm sure, want to do this. So yeah, we can get to that. And there's some other cool authors who I think would be kind of neat to do. Anyway, the Long Now, they have this monthly seminar. The seminars are generally just really interesting, and they did a particular set of them in, I want to say 2010, where it was the long conversation. It wasn't a seminar. And a seminar is normally an hour talk plus some conversation and questions and things like that, right? The long conversation was basically they had 19 people signed up for this, and they rotated. So the conversation was started with Stuart Brand and one person, and then Stuart signed off, and that other person stayed on to talk to the next person, and then that person signed off, and they basically just rolled through this list of 19 people with two people in the conversation at once until it eventually came back all the way back to the original person. Yeah,
so it's like a round robin sort of deal where it's one-on-one, and then it switches to the next pair all the way around the circle.
And I think they did 15-minute sessions per person, so the whole thing is 6 hours long. And I'm not necessarily saying we want to try that. That's ambitious. But I like the idea of doing a rotating conversation with people. I think that's a really interesting thing. There's a couple of other formats for in-person events that might be fun. There might be podcasty parallels that could be fun to try. But this is all getting exciting. Like we're just getting the basics going first.
Yeah. We just got to get things moving. It's an interesting idea, though, because I would think that it encourages people to as they're listening to the other discussion going on, they're going to start building a list of things that they wanted to touch on. They'll be like, "Oh, you mentioned this thing, and now I had thoughts about that, but I didn't get a chance to say anything yet." So I would think that each new entrant has a bit of a seed from the previous pair of people talking already.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they were thoughtful about who they paired up to make sure that the each person fed into the next person, that kind of thing. But the topics that were covered are fascinating and varied. From Saul Griffith, I believe, is a neuroscientist.
Saul Griffith,
I believe that's who he is. I might be getting him mixed up with someone else. He's an inventor. He did a pairing. Him and Emily Levine discuss socks, polling, sex with people they dislike, and science in general. Then the next section is Emily Levine and Jill Tarter discuss the search for extraterrestrial intelligence and how great it is to be a scientist. And then the next one, discuss the Fermi equations, modeling star systems, and scientific literacy. So you see, there's a lot of enjoyment that comes out of just the parallels between different types of people and their skills and all that. So it's cool stuff.
Strategic pairings. I like the idea for a larger group. That could be fun.
it would be a fun thing. So anyway, I think unless you have anything you want to say about the notes, I've trimmed it a bit based on some things we said, but I think overview notes is really just what it is. It's just an overview of goal methods, and we can tweak this as we go. I know.
Yeah. No. So as far as the methods go, where were you? Did you actually call out that particular approach as something that we might try?
Long now.
Yeah.
I hadn't because I hadn't thought about this.
Okay, because I think maybe we can just start thinking of these as, okay, this is a particular episode where we'll experiment with this approach, and if a particular one works well or we like it, we just make that a certain type of episode or conversation that we can have as a recurring thing.
I'm adding a section. I'm adding a thing right now that you can probably see me typing.
Yep.
Larger conversation.
Yeah, so like conversation or episode formats.
I'll put a link in the long now one as well.
Similar to the long nails. Yeah.
Let me write my last thing here. Nothing in this section should take to limit us. We're here to experiment.
You're placing no constraints.
I've been writing legal documents, or bylaws, not.
It sounds like a contract. None of the above stated.
I haven't said here and after yet. As soon as I start saying here and after, that's when we're in that language.
Oh God.
Yeah. Which is a very useful thing to say, because then that'll let me say, I'm going to abbreviate this going forward. Please accept.
From here on out, the term "the long now" shall refer to the long now event linked above.
Yep. We're not there.
Have a terminology and.
So going back to the, I guess the main page with all the things on it. So there's that Kanban on there with the tasks that I know that we need to do. We need to decide on a name. We need to set up the Twitch and YouTube channels. At the moment, we're just saying Twitch and YouTube, right? We're not pushing it anything else. We're not thinking push anywhere else at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think Twitch and YouTube are fine. I'm not under the impression that either of us has a significant following on each of those platforms.
Neither.
So if we're actually looking to,
we should create a channel for this and just do it there.
Right. I just mean as far as if you have existing social media channels on any of these platforms that that at some point you want to use to, guide people to this.
Oh, to promote you from. Yeah. No, I don't have any. I haven't.
Or cross promoting.
I think we can do a lot of.
I don't have a huge following either, but it would be. It's easier for me, I think, from like Twitter, Instagram. I hardly use Facebook at all. LinkedIn.
Yeah, if I'm going to do cross promotion, it's going to be from LinkedIn and Facebook, because that's where I engage with people. And then there's a few things people on Discord that I would connect to people to. That's a thing.
We can focus on these two for now.
Set up a Discord server. We should have a Discord server for this, because I assume you use Discord. I'm making this assumption about everyone these days.
I mean, we actually. So Eva and I set up the Discord that got cannibalized by VWS.
Was that who made that?
We did.
Who's the owner? Are you guys that are still the owner of it then?
I don't know if we're still admins on there, but we created the original Discord that was called We Make Reality. Yeah. And then the format and the channel structure and everything for it, and the 450 people that we brought in through that got cannibalized into just VWS Discord now.
What's your here? Jay Silvers, he, him. That's you. And that was 2021. Yeah. So the easiest way to do this is usually just go to the beginning of the general channel and see who joined first.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's going to be digging up.
Or actually, the other way you can do it is to go to the list of members and sort by oldest member.
Let's see. I thought that would have been 2019.
Yeah, no, I think it's earlier than 2021. I think that's just there was a post from you saying something to a bunch of people about it. Yep, no, you were the first person to join it in 2019, and then Jared Canwright. And we got Jared on our list. We should have Jared on our list. We absolutely should have Jared on. He comes to our dinner parties nowadays, so I think
the VWS dinner parties.
No, these are my dinner parties.
Oh, gotcha.
We just have these. You probably got on invites for them occasionally. We do like three or four times a year. We do some kind of food related party at our house. So we did a bunch of stuff over July 4th. He was at that.
Yeah, I was. This has been a crazy summer from my side of things. I haven't been around much, but probably we'll get more to those later this year.
Do you have anything on the 9th of November?
Anything what?
On the 9th of November.
The 9th of November. I don't think so.
Okay. We are having our annual winter feast. It's a bit early, so it's more like a late fall feast, but we will be having it. I haven't done one like this properly since 2019. So okay. we're ramping up from the things that we have done post-COVID, which have all been a bit smaller, back to with the goal of getting back to the scale that we did at that point. And the one I did in 20, I'll show you. I'll just send you a document because this looks better when you see it than if I describe it. Joints. Okay, here we go. Can I just share my screen for these with it?
Let's see.
There we go. Sharing. And I want to share. Here we are. This is the menu for the 2019 feast.
Hey,
it was not insignificant.
Let's see. Cream of mushroom.
It was a seven course meal.
Oh wow! Yeah, that looks really good.
Yeah, it was tasty. I mean, one of the courses is cheese, and cheese is really the course where you cheat because as chef you don't have to do very much. But
right, you just cut it.
And this was for 20 people.
Oh wow! Okay,
yeah. Cooked a 7-course meal for 20 people. This year we're aiming for a slightly smaller. In that I think it's only going to be 16 or 18 adults. But then we will also have some children there, which adds a whole new set of complications. Anyway, I will get you number going for that.
That would be fun. Just let me know if you need help on the actual preparations.
I always reach out to people beforehand to see if anyone is willing to help with assembly on the day of, because typically I do a lot of the I do an awful lot of stuff as much as possible the night before, and then I cool it and reheat it and do them all sort of restaurant preparation things. And I also I don't know if I do it for, I sometimes do it with the meat. I will sometimes sous vide it well in advance, so that I can just do the broiling on the day of. So I often will do that for the roast, because the most reliable way to cook a slab of meat is to do so in a sous
vide. We could do. We've been doing pelmeni. They're Russian dumplings.
Oh yeah, I know those. Yeah, pelmeni. Yeah.
Yeah, but we've been home making them. So like we make the dough from scratch and do
nice.
A chicken and pork or a beef and pork mix with some onions and a little bit of horseradish. We do like this tomato-based horseradish sauce that you put on top of it.
Stuff. Yeah, that's great. I love the sort of tomato horseradish type thing you get in cocktails. Yeah. They call it cocktail sauce. It's not cocktails.
It's kind of like cocktail sauce.
Yeah, but I love that combination of sharp, fruity tomatoes and fiery aromatic horseradish.
Yeah, like the intense sort of flame of a radish or wasabi type things.
There's a steakhouse in Indianapolis which is supposedly one of the better ones in the country. That's what they claim. Who knows? It's quite good. But they do these cocktail shrimp cocktail. That's the word I want. These shrimp cocktails. Where the cocktail sauce is, it's red cocktail sauce. However, it is full with chunks, like big chunks of horseradish, and it is chewy and it's wonderful. And it
actually adds texture rather than just being like spicy ketchup.
Yes, and if you
like a salsa.
It's one of these things. There's a certain level of my friends and I, when we're there, will try and see who can cope with the fire, and so we'll give it to Desmond, and he will turn interesting colors. It's good times. Good times.
When I was in college back at George Mason in DC, they had this I guess sushi to go station in the campus cafeteria. And my friend and I would always go and we'd grab a tray of the sushi there, and they always give you the big dollop of the green horseradish wasabi.
The fake wasabi,
yeah. And so our little commitment between the two of us is that we have to finish the whole thing during the course of eating the tray.
Yeah.
So you either, you can spread it through all of the bites and kind of deal with having too much wasabi in every single one, or you can try to just eat it all at the end with the last bite.
There's a correct way to do this. There's a correct way to do this, and this is the only one true way to do it, is to scoop it and put it on your tongue, get some water, swirl it around, and try not to cry.
God.
So I eat. I on and off eat a lot of wasabi coated peas. There's a particular brand, Kasugai. I love them. But the only way to eat them well, to really enjoy them, is to put one in your mouth at a time and let the saliva melt it. And
so
you'll get the fiery saltiness out of the thing. But every now and again, you'll get that sort of distinctive horseradish thing where the pain it creeps up the back of your throat, and then muscles in your face contract, and you're like, and I love it.
Yep.
It's so good.
Such a masochistic enjoyment. I don't.
Oh, it's so weird. I don't get why I like it, but I do. Anywho.
So wait, this was a tangent.
This was a tangent. We were talking about Discord.
And we were talking about Discord.
So the Virtual World Society does appear to be the one that you guys set up back 5 years ago.
So very familiar with Discord. Still have one right now that I run for my own, just independent friend group projects and stuff. But I could set up one for this. I guess the thing is, we need to decide on a name, really, because all of these things can easily follow.
Why don't we do this? Let's just come up with a name, and I'll make a server, and we can go from there.
Okay.
What shall we call it? And we can change the name. It's not that hard.
We could do something. I'm just gonna start spitballing here. We could do something like melange.
Melange, the spice melange.
Yes. Yep. The spice melange. I'm thinking along this similar lines as this brain stew name that I had used for that Substack blog, which I do think. I mean, StreamYard is a good way to actually capture the streams, to invite people in, to be able to handle all of the production of things, but then having a place to actually store these that's not on any particular platform, but can distribute it out to the different podcasting channels. And make that easy.
I think there's a question here about naming. Do we name the stream version of this and the podcast version of this identically, or are they like, there is a name, this is the something stream and this is the something podcast, for distinction purposes? We're going to be able to talk about it internally that way, but do we want to actually just say, hey, no, actually that's just how we talk about it? Yeah, that's the same conversations. This is just the stream version. That's the podcast version.
I guess that brings the question: what is the difference between the stream version versus the?
I think the only difference is that the stream version is the stream collected.
It's live.
It's live when we're doing it, and then it's presumably, well, maybe or possibly we leave it dumped on YouTube live in those places, and there's pros and cons to that.
Right.
And then the podcast is just we trim it down and we post it as a podcast.
Right. I think the live stream version, we don't benefit much from the live stream version from an audience perspective.
No.
For a while, because we don't have an audience.
No.
So at the moment, really, it's all the live stream version is just capturing it. It will be out there already. It makes that pipeline kind of easy. And then if we want to do anything else with it, to either spread it out to actual podcast channels like Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
The way I think of it is that we would do the stream version just without any promotion whatsoever initially, just for production purposes, and that we would, as part of that, we'd still collect this. We'd still leave the stream. The stream would still be collected and hosted on YouTube because that's how it works, and on Twitch. And so those two would be there as a side effect of what we're doing. We're not doing anything special about it. We're not promoting the stream as the stream. We're just saying, hey, this is a thing we're doing for our own benefit for the purpose of recording it. And if you happen to have a friend who wants to who's interested in this thing that you're doing, this you as guests have a friend who wants to listen in or participate in the conversation, why don't they hop on the stream and throw in questions if they want them? And so the only promotion we're really doing in the stream at that point is just inviting additional conversational participants or friends to listen in a very informal kind of way. So that the only promotion that we're really doing at that point is the podcast. And then eventually, based on what we learned from doing this, we might discover actually no, promoting the stream is a good idea, and then we choose to do that. But I would again, I think we keep it simple.
Yeah, I think simple as possible. I don't really feel like there's not really that much of a difference right now.
No.
So talking about them separately,
I don't think we talk about them separately. I just want us to be able to have a label for them that is useful. And you're right, because we're not going to promote the stream in any way. There is no label for the stream at this point in time. I think all I'm really saying is that when we choose a name, it should be a name that is amenable to the idea of us saying the name stream, the name podcast, something like that, rather than having a name that wraps the concept of podcast in the name, because then we can't reuse that name for the stream version.
Yep. I mean, I'm fine. I feel like it would be straightforward to just use that as like the name cast and the name stream.
Yeah, exactly. That would be that's what I'm sort of proposing here. So if we just think of a name that fits into that sort of the way of talking about it.
Yeah.
I don't think we. So maybe I'm just going to go ahead and create a server as a server, just a simple server right now. Tron and Jay do podcasts. It's the name of the server for right now. That's intentionally a bad name, so that we have a bad name and are encouraged to fix it. I will go ahead and find you.
Burning a hole in your pocket.
Well, this way, because the other side of this is it gets us out of you doing conversations about this in Messenger,
right?
Which is not great anyway.
Yep. Yeah, and we can start actually using the server to drop resources, links, ideas, or have other people do the same.
Exactly. Invite to
persistence.
Server. Okay, you have a server invite hopefully showing up.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. No, I don't see it. Wait, oh, that's in Discord. I see.
I'm going to change it to J and Tron because I like doing this alphabetically. I'm weird. I find people get weird about who's first in order listings as if it matters, and I don't think it matters, which is why I always do it alphabetically.
I think it's more just what flows better.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason. That's the only reason.
Consonants that they have a better alliteration or assonance in one way or the other.
Yeah, I do it that way just because I don't like to send implications that are not intended. And doing it alphabetically means I can say no, it's alphabetical. And that way, no one has any
neutral.
Any real
doesn't
recourse.
Matter. The gods of the alphabet decide the order.
The gods of the alphabet gods. Yes,
that's just fate.
Okay, so we have set up a Discord server. I don't think there's a lot we need to do to configure said Discord server at this point in time, other than just have it for ourselves for production. We maybe should make a production channel that we can set private now, so that when we add people later, they're not automatically being added to a general channel that has history in it. So I'll just make production at the moment. I'll add you to it.
All right.
And how do I add that? There we go.
Yeah, I mean, this is where obviously we can get more nuanced over time and add different roles, groups like hosts or guests, alumni, whatever. Yeah,
so you got production, and for the moment we just have our production conversations in here, and we can dream and do cool things with the rest as we go. I see all your channels there. How many Discord channels have you cursed yourself with? It's what it is. You join these things and they accumulate.
Oh God! I mean, there's no good way right now to organize Discord channels.
No.
Like if you look at these project sections, so like there's just a folder full of a vertical stack of I don't know how many projects, and then you get all these different ones. It's not. This isn't a. This just isn't tenable. They need to they need to fix this somehow.
I roughly have a group for spaces that are basically just my friends.
Yeah.
And spaces that are company or business related.
Yeah, it's either like a friend community,
Yeah.
or it's a company, or it's like topical. Like Seattle Game Audio is a particular, that's just it's game sound designers and implementers and engineers.
Yeah, it's not great.
So,
let's leave it at that. It's just not great.
Yeah, it's too little real estate, or I don't know. They need a separate gallery. The other thing that's weird about Discord is that there's not a good way to go and browse for Discord servers.
No, right. It's very much you get invited, otherwise you just don't know about it.
Right. And I don't know. I mean, I guess because you find out about Discord servers on all other platforms where someone links to it specifically.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they haven't just made a bare bones gallery page where you can go in and then just search or look at categories if you want your Discord server publicly, visible.
Yeah, I do like though that it basically exists as an open platform for setting up cool conversational stuff. It makes it very straightforward, which is nice.
It's really good. I mean, in general, this is complaints about the navigation, but the whole idea of what they've been doing, and I like the general vibe of it too. It's not as stiff and professionally laden as Slack can be sometimes. So, at least for my circles, I like it. Okay, so we have that now, but we're definitely not calling it Jay and Tron's.
No, that's clearly not the real name.
Okay, so Spice Melange is one, not Brain Stew, because that's already just a totally different thing.
I mean, I want to be able to talk about the conversation. I like something related to the word conversation. Words that imply that this is dialogue.
Okay.
Rather than presentation.
Words or synonyms that imply discussion, dialogue, conversation.
It's thesaurus it.
Cutting up. I think of expressions.
I get out of thesaurus.com. I get communication, conference, conversation, dialogue, discourse, discussion, exchange, chat, colloquy, confabulation,
forum,
quorum,
agora. Agora was one of the names that we were going to use for We Make Reality, actually.
I like Agora as a thing.
Yeah, Agora is just it's like an open courtyard, marketplace, bazaar in the middle of town where all the different people exchange ideas and goods
exactly.
And things.
It is a peristyle under which we sit and talk shit.
Yeah. So that's another one.
I think it's a peristyle. Yeah, peristyle. Yeah.
What about there's a name that was used often in Europe for these sort of closed, these conversations that would happen where they'd kind of organize and specifically curate guests to come together and then just have a discussion. A salon?
Symposium? Are you thinking about symposium?
Salon.
Symposium. So symposium is the classic, that's the one that Plato did a dialogue called the Symposium, which is where Socrates and a bunch of other people got together, and argued about the meaning of love while drinking a lot. And that is that's where the word symposium comes from. This thing. I love the idea. I love symposium as a concept.
Yeah, so I mean something like that. I think the word salon was used for this kind of thing for a while.
I like salon as well. I actually have Future Salon as a thing that I was doing for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
so salon is a word I like. I definitely like salon.
Graham Symposium Salon.
I'm just off looking at some of these names to see do these exist as podcasts, and many of them, of course, do. Simple versions of them do.
Yeah, I mean, anything that's going to be a word for a conversation, I would assume someone has already grabbed. So if we're trying to get something that's particularly unique,
I have found about 5 different things that look to be a podcast with using just called Symposium, and they range in type from classics and nerds to a bunch of folks hanging out talking about cricket. Another one appears to be a bunch of folks talking about. I don't know what they're talking about exactly, but they're using the term symposium.
Hey, the previous iteration of that. Have you ever seen there's a comic strip or a web comic called The Oatmeal?
I know the Oatmeal. Met him and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
He lives in Fremont.
He lives in Fremont.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Fremont's where he is. I looked this up at some point. He posted some local stuff, and I know some people who know him. Yeah.
That's awesome. That he definitely fits in the Fremont vibe.
Yes, doesn't he?
I had to guess the neighborhood.
Yeah.
He was making fun of the idea of brainstorms in one of his comics, and was like, "Why don't we instead call it mind whooshes?" Because it's less productive, and the whole idea that you can just brainstorm something to solve all problems. But I liked the name Mind Whoosh.
Honestly, it sounds a little bit like someone's gone to the bathroom. They've pooped out a lot of bad stuff. But
yeah, well, I mean that
it's the brain bathroom.
Yeah, brain whooshing. I think that's a theme that comes up for him pretty often. Salon.
Sorry, I got someone bugging me and telling them to ping me again in 24 hours. Good.
Studio archive, assemblage, a gallery, parlor. It's interesting. The word salon, I don't feel like is as widely associated with conversation anymore.
No, it's not. It's a very Enlightenment term. And that was the thing, is you would gather in someone's salon and you would talk about a thing, and the word salon kind of is associated with both the room but also that type of format. Yeah. I like the idea of choosing a name that is relatively informal. So more chat, more that sort of thing than too sophisticated sounding. Maybe do I? Not too a little bit informal, but not too informal.
Or symposium are a little bit too. They sound too.
It sounds too pretentious. Yeah. I like it. So I like doing I like the idea of having a symposium. But if we're going to have a symposium, it's going to be something that is explicitly subverting that trope. By which I'm saying is people use the word symposium for pretentious gatherings of academics and the like. For me, I want to go back to the Platonic ideal, which is sit around and drink a lot of wine. So that's the context in which I would use symposium. So that doesn't quite fit here.
It's not quite communicated through that word anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you could always make up a word, but then you have a problem of actually understanding for people without the context, piecing it together. Like Pinterest.
Yeah, exactly. They almost always come off a bit cringy as well. It's very rare that those made up brands actually feel cool. An argument is to say don't stress so much about the name and try and get it right at the beginning, and just have enough of a name that you can make forward movement and then change it later after a couple.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would actually end up happening and we just get stuck with something that's crap that we can't change because we're momentum.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we just pick something and then we'll just run with it until we hate it, which could happen. But
names have a tendency to grow on you, is the thing.
Yeah, I think they'd be, you get familiar. You get too close to leave. What if... Could we do... I mean, if you think about things that are a little bit more tongue-in-cheek or not... Like, I like the idea of being so serious.
I like keeping it simple. Like, I just Googled to see if anyone has the podcast title All About Stuff, which is not necessarily something I want to use, but that level of sort of
stuff and
using, yeah, stuff and things. You know, it's using that sort of classic first 1,000 words sort of level of complexity. We're talking about stuff.
Has anyone named a podcast All the Things? Like that meme where it's like someone drawn in MS Paint where they're holding up what looks like a paintbrush.
Yeah, no, sadly someone has.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
No, someone has, and you know what it is? It's a Bible podcast.
A Bible podcast?
Yep. The description says, the show where we talk about all the things related to God, the Bible, and real life.
That is explicitly not all the things. No,
that's just a small subset of the things. And there are 190 episodes in, so
a few other things. So there's this joke I keep coming back to, and I can't take credit for it. A friend of mine, we were talking about with like a group about how Trader Joe's is a grocery store that doesn't have the normal things that you would expect to find in a grocery store. Because people usually complain about Trader Joe's because you can't go and find things like, I don't know, baby wipes.
Right, because it's not what it's for. It's Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
It's a different thing.
Yeah. And he's like, Trader Joe's, we don't have everything, but we have a few other things.
Exactly. It's great. I love it. I love Trader Joe's. It's like, you cannot have it be your only supermarket. However, there are many things at Trader Joe's that you're like, oh, that's good. And I want that. And I want these. And then you come home with like a weird eclectic. For my problem, if I go to Trader Joe's, is I come home with more stuff that I can fit in the freezer.
It's tangential groceries.
Yes.
Grocery shopping.
And so good value. The value is often really high.
Yeah, it really is. For the quality to the price that you're paying, particularly if you're getting cheese there. I think their prices for cheese and the variety that they have is better than most regular grocery stores as far as what you pay. And another thing, a few other things.
So I'm writing these into the.
I'm just dropping them into the chat here too.
I'm putting. So I'm throwing them in Discord, but
okay, I'll do that.
And another thing. So I just did. And here's something else.
Yes, and. I mean, that's a direction I feel like I can get on board with, and you know, it's not trying so hard that I'm going to get tired of it.
I'm just going to go through ones that I have, and another thing is taken. Sadly, a few other things, or here's something else, are not taken.
Okay. Let's see. There were a couple words to sundry, melange.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the words like that run the risk of sounding, I don't know, contrived or pretentious.
There is no podcast out there called All and Sundry.
All and Sundry?
Yeah. It's an idiomatic phrase, right?
I think so.
All and Sundry is just we talk about anything. All and Sundry.
Everyone.
It might be interested in things, but
insolent drivers crying to all and sundry to get out of the way.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's see. I'm interested in what other phrases that have the same meaning.
All and sundry often means every one, not like in terms of people, not all things. You can use it to say talk about all and sundry, but myriad, many things, all things, thesaurus, everything.
All things considered.
Oh, well, that's NPR has that one. Yeah, something popped in my head a second ago, and it jumped out.
Sundry assortment. Sundry assortment.
All about anything.
All about it. Yeah, you've got ones like everything, everywhere, all at once that are following a similar kind of paradigm idea. Hors d'oeuvres. They're like conversational bites. That's what it's a collection assortment.
Yeah, I'm going off of the metaphor of a meal of words.
A meal.
I mean that phrasing's no good, but a meal of
yeah, like
you're making a meal as in getting deep into things.
Yeah, like a delectable century. What is it? Charcuterie. I hate that word. I kind of hate that word.
Yeah.
Charcuterie.
Yeah, so if you can say it in a pretentious French voice, that's what. Yeah. I can't take it seriously at that point.
So wait a minute. Options that actually stood out. I'm just going to add a little reaction or two that were actually available, right?
Yeah.
So
a few other things is available. Here's something else is available.
And another thing.
And another thing is taken.
Taken. Okay.
I'm just going to delete the duplicate here since we've got two.
Oh yeah.
Do...
Okay, red circle for can't go.
Yeah, just because I'm going to forget what. Oops, that's the wrong one.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so green circle for a few other things. There we go. Oh, and here's something else.
All and sundry is green.
All and sundry is green. Okay, that's still fun.
Yeah, and all about anything was green. Not that I necessarily like it, but.
All and sundry. Why the word sundry still feels a little bit. Maybe it's because it sounds English.
I think that's what it is. I think to me that's a normal English word, but America is different.
Yeah. Sundry melange. It sounds a bit. You know what it's making me think of? Geek and Sundry.
Yeah. So that's a
yeah.
that's a thing against it. Create.
That's Felicia Day, the whole sort of media channel collective that she helped create. What was that?
I'm asking ChatGPT to help.
Ah, okay. With some of these options.
Some of these are so awful, but they're funny anyway. Let me share this so you can see it. Something like I just did a sexual nature of podcast about really anything that should be fun and relaxed. So it's very, very open ended to start with. Probably 10 to start with.
Wait a minute. So, I thought that said. So the text was too small for me to read before I maximized the video feed, and I thought the first option said cereal collective, like a breakfast cereal. Like that is, I don't know where that comes from, but it's interesting. The chill out, casual chat off the cuff.
They're very
definitely taken. That's definitely used. Breezy banter.
Yes, it is.
Freewheeling.
Off the cuff, I think there may be multiples of them. I believe, but the one that I can find is hosted by one Andy and one Randy. And there are multiples of them, it seems.
You know what? The word cafe is, I mean, it's probably taken a bunch, but a cafe or tavern always implies the kind of mood I'm thinking.
Yeah, I like the word banter. I like the words chatter. Chat is a bit too fluffy and suggests that we're talking about nothing. I don't want to talk about nothing. I want to talk about something.
Yeah.
I want it to be light and accessible and friendly and sort of down to earth, but also imply, no, we're actually going to get deep on some things. I don't want something that's just going to do nothing.
It's not just like random chat. The open mic, loose ends. Unscripted moments. That is so generic. Like arbitrary conversations. Deeply alluring.
These are funny.
Layers and laughs is very literal based on what you just gave it.
That's for the alliteration.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The reflection. Casual depth, insightful out. Oh God. Conversations that matter. This
is very.
Oh my God. They're so on the nose. They're like, this.
This is the problem with AI, right? It's very literal, and it just does what you say.
Super literal. There's an art to crafting a subtle analogy, an analog or a metaphor that's not so literal that you're just like, oh, okay, I get it.
Metaphors for having a good conversation. So I'm going to ask what metaphors there rather than having it come up with a thing. Let's try this.
Sailing on the same wind, we a tapestry. Planting seeds, sundry seeds.
This is a little more helpful, I think.
Little what?
A little bit more helpful in terms of it is giving us directions we can explore rather than trying to start from an actual title. So I like the idea of the journey together, going off and exploring things with a person. I like the metaphor of going on a walk.
Yep, a walk is that's a great seed, I think, for something, because that's just always a fun way to think about it is joining for a walk and then let's go for a walk and talk. Just the idea of that. Seems like a candle. Bouncing a ball. A journey together, a walk. If I look at the list that we had before already, a random walk, a
random walk.
Like a random walk down Wall Street.
Yeah, well, a random walk is also a very, very well-defined mathematical concept.
Yeah. I'm sure that's been taken too.
Maybe. I'm finding some obvious things are not taken. I found Random Walks, which I think actually is better. Someone has
Random Walks.
Yeah,
someone
has that as a podcast. That is, they haven't posted anything since 2021. Oh my god, just give me the freaking RSS so I can not have to fuck around with your stupid interface. Yeah, there's a couple of variations on that Random Walk I had people have used.
Currents interweaving.
I'm a little bit hesitant about names that imply a particular type of conversation.
Yeah, like bouncing a ball is a little bit too format specific.
Yeah.
Planting seeds, weaving a tap. I mean, some of these are more generic than others, or less specific on that, but definitely building a bridge. The myriad. This sort.
I found another podcast here with a name that I find interesting, which is A Rather Interesting Chat.
A Rather Interesting Chat.
That's the name of it. But I like that because it's being simple and saying, look, we're a conversation and we think they're interesting, and it's doing it in a somewhat like you're describing the type of conversation without describing the content or the format.
You're like marginal curiosity, marginally interesting.
I know someone's taken there's a podcast out there called Marginalia, which I love. The name
Margin what?
Marginalia. It's just random shit in the margins. It's an NPR podcast.
Marginalia. Actually, I mean that's kind of a fun direction too. Marginalia. Like myriad or meridian. That's a word. Name Marginalia. It requires a good starting word to actually have that feel right in English. Tangentian. Scout. Range. Wandering.
Peeling the onion.
Peeling the
It came through from ChatGPT. Oh, of course someone has it.
Peeling the onion.
It's apparently about
peeling potatoes.
It's hippy dippy pseudo health stuff.
Oh, there is a podcast called Peeling the Onion.
Yes.
Mapping the cosmos. That's a very specific. Wow. Labyrinthian. Labyrinthine. Navigating a labyrinth. Unraveling a tapestry. Unraveling. There's just a continuous. I mean, the word unraveling and the idea of continuously unwrapping and digging into something.
I'm off looking at just more descriptive things like that, like expansive conversation.
Yeah, expansive. Broad range, wide ranging. This is the word inquisition. I think there's some poor associations for that. Curian. Curiation. Curious.
Multifaceted, panoramic, inclusive, eclectic.
Furiosa, like Furiosa from Mad Max, but
there is in fact an erotic film from 2019 with that name.
Curio.
I did not expect that result. I just threw it in the thing. The first thing pops up is IMDb, Curiosa 2019. A passionate love story set against a backdrop of sexual freedom, loosely based on the relationship between 19th century authors Pierre Louis and someone else.
Wow. Damn, they took... That would have been a good one. Curiosa. Can we do something else with the beginning, the root of that word? Of curio?
I like just I like the idea of curios.
Curios. Without the sa at the end.
Yeah.
It's not curio, it's curiosa.
Oh.
Curiosa.
Does this shit get saved on the stream? Because this will be funny to someone one day.
We can highlight it on Twitch. Just grab the clip.
Yeah.
Okay, so curios is definitely...
I like eclectic.
Eclectic. That's eccentricity. Eclectic, eccentric. Eclectic is a good word. Did that come from Ecclesiastes? What is...
It could be.
Ecclesiastes. Scripture. Teaches that life is random and uncontrollable. So how do we live well under these conditions? Interesting.
It comes originally from Greek words meaning pick out or to choose.
Huh.
Yeah.
Eclectic curios. What was the Greek root? The Greek origin?
So we've got there's eklagen means pick out, and that's from ek, which is out, and legen, which is choose, according to Google. So trust it as much as you can trust. Though I guess they derived from Oxford. So.
Yeah.
It's used over time. Yes, it became current in usage around 1800. It was particularly common in the late 19th century, then fell out of fashion in the early 20th, and has become more common since.
Polycurious. That's different. That's the wrong direction. Polymathic.
Polythetic.
Polythetic?
That means
that sounds
something.
So much like
a polythetic thing is a thing that's defined by many different characteristics. So it's a philosophy. It's a term that you might use in philosophy to describe a concept that cannot be easily defined through only just one characteristic. So the concept of a game is a great example, because you can't really describe a game easily just based on one of its characteristics. You have to sort of invoke a lot of things and say a game is that cluster of things that has all of these bits, but not always. Art is another great thing that you really need to define polythetically.
Okay.
People often use the term cluster definition to describe that.
A cluster definition. Okay, so like a collection of traits that may or may not be, or characteristics may or may not be part of that. Any individual. The polycule is a network of people in non-monogamous relationships.
Yep, a friend of mine is in one of those out in Monroe. There's a cluster of them, a cluster of them doing whatever the hell they're doing. So honestly, they can do whatever they want. It's just a bit weird when we try and invite him to things, because we're never really sure who's going to bring.
How many plus? Do you need a +1 or +3 or what?
Yeah, essentially.
How does it work?
It's just a matter of how to. It's just logistics.
It's just The concern is just logistics. Logistical polycule.
Mm-hmm.
You could wait. It could be an intentionally contrived name such as that. Polyrhythmic.
Scheduled randomness.
Organized randomness. Scheduled random.
I like scheduled randomness because the idea is, no, we'll do it at a particular time. We'll get together and we'll be random.
Yeah. Logistical randomness. Arranged randomness. Recurring random. I mean, I like that direction.
Yeah.
Polyrandom. The word polyrandomness does not exist. Or at least it refers to many different things, not super specifically. Pseudo-random.
Probably interesting.
Pseudo-random. Wait, what's that?
Probably interesting, the podcast.
Awesome. Possibly.
Probably relevant.
Aspiring, probably relevant. Tangentially relevant.
Probably relevant. I'm writing it down. That amuses me too much. I like that because, not necessarily that, but I like that sort of thing because it is a sort of it's an irreverent take on. It is asserting that yes, this is going to be interesting and stuff like that, but it's also a bit irreverent about it. Ambiguously related. Barely connected. The podcast.
This is arbitrary curio. Or ambiguous curio, barely connected. Scantily connected, scantily relevant. Scant. Scantily correlated. Scantily. Sparsely. Regular yeah. orderly randomness. These are more, I mean, these kinds of contradictions are more fun.
Yeah, I like the I'm enjoying the contradictory piece of it here.
Questionable motives.
I still quite like All About Anything, actually.
Yeah. All About Anything.
I guess that when you think about the name and branding there is the name itself, but then there's also like the tagline that goes with it. There's often you'll get a name which on its own doesn't stand that well, but then when you have a tagline, it's like, that makes sense. And then over time, the name sort of earns its own place and becomes able to stand on its own. Like the early stages of any brand kind of needs support. Yeah.
You might have the concise name and then a tagline or a log line that goes with it. Ambiguously probably relevant. Possibly.
The main flaw of All About Anything is it doesn't really touch on the conversation part of it, which I do like. There is something in there.
Yeah. I mean, myriad anything, all about
talk about anything.
Talk about anything.
Yeah, it's not quite right. It's quite lame, but.
No, I hate the word orthogonal. I don't know why I think orthogonal anything. It's not.
Yeah.
That's too.
Probably relevant.
Without anything, ambiguous anything. Clearly anything. What if it? I mean, I still like the idea of trying to smash together two sort of conflicting words. So
yeah, no, I like that. I do like that.
Maybe the anything or a similar word with something that implies specificity or clarity or clearly.
A word that is deep, another word that is broad.
Adored?
No, so like one word that is all about how we're focusing on deep things, another word that's all about how we're talking about really anything, and it's therefore very broad.
Breadth. Yeah.
Generally specific, that sort of thing.
Generally specific. broadly specific.
Specifically general.
Specifically general.
The specifically general conversation.
Oh man, those are both. This is.
Well,
precisely general.
Yeah, there's a bit of word in general. I feel like. Precisely universal.
Generally precise. No, precisely general.
Universally specific.
Universally specific. Universe. Precisely general. Universal feels, or universally, I guess, feels more wordy somehow. Universally.
Yeah, too many syllables.
Is specifically general or generally specific actually available? Tangentially relevant. Where did that come from?
The generally specific podcast exists, but the specifically general podcast does not. The generally specific podcast appears to have posted 7 episodes in 2020. But specifically general does not appear to have been used. Yeah, specifically general has not been. Generally specific was used for a thing that is dead.
Specifically general is not?
Specifically general is not used. No.
Okay.
I'll put an orange on generally specific because it was used 5 years ago and by something that never went anywhere.
Tangential.
Meaning that it's unlikely to be irrelevant. I still quite like probably relevant as well.
What about vaguely specific or?
Oh yeah, okay, let's do that. Hang on. There is a podcast on Apple Podcasts called Vaguely Specific. They have 70 or 80 episodes, so that's not something we can claim.
No, yeah.
Unfortunate. That is cool, though. I like that.
Damn. What about vaguely specific? Vaguely.
I like probably more than vaguely because vaguely implies a negative connotation that we like. It's hard to undermine the negative activity. I think probably allows us to sort of imply that there's a chance this is not actually useful, but it might be.
Might be actually.
This might be relevant.
Possibly relevant. Was possibly relevant taken?
I don't know. Possibly relevant or probably relevant. I'll just look. Probably irrelevant exists.
Probably irrelevant
exists. It is. There's probably irrelevant, possibly interesting. It's the closest that there is.
Probably irrelevant and possibly interesting. So neither probably relevant or possibly relevant.
So no, what I'm saying is there is a podcast called Probably Irrelevant, Possibly Interesting.
Okay, like both.
That's the name of that
together.
Podcast, yeah.
Interesting.
But there is no probably relevant or anything.
Gotcha.
Like that. But we don't have to do probably relevant. We can do probably.
Barely relevant. You marked generally specific with an orange circle.
Oh,
what is that?
Yeah, orange. There's just this. Someone has used this name, but it was a very much a dead end that died after 6 episodes 5 years ago.
Okay, so it actually hasn't really.
It hasn't really been used. There's some thought that has to go into that, but it's not like it's consumed fully.
Yeah, like there was somebody else that had a Reality Quest podcast when we started doing ours, but they hadn't really done anything with it. They had like 1 or 2 episodes from a couple of years before.
Yeah.
And it was a different topic altogether.
Yeah, and the reality is you are in fact allowed to reuse names unless they've been trademarked.
Yep. Anything. What about generally anything?
Generally anything. That does not show up anything.
Okay.
At all.
Precisely anything.
So there is a limit to that though, because there's a genre of podcast which is where people are just talking shit, which we are not doing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not like literally a talk.
There's a lot of podcasts out there that 2 guys drinking beer just being bros, and that's fine. That's great, but we're not that. We want to be a thing that is actually going to talk about real stuff.
Well, the difference is that they're not actual. They're not just. It's not just a random regular discussion. It's like, oh, we're intentionally pairing some people together to have an interesting conversation based on the cross section that we kind of saw.
I like precisely anything for that, because precisely anything sort of that implies that we are actually being a bit more deep than just anything.
Yeah.
Just double check that's not used. Anything goes. No, that's not right.
That's I feel like that's probably been used a ton because that's just a.
It's an idiom. It's a well-known idiom, so it's a problem.
Yep. Anything goes.
I like these ones which are adverb noun, because then you can say, and welcome to today's conversation about precisely anything, right? You can use the name both as the name but also as a descriptor.
Right. It's like this is a conversation about precisely anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It works in a sentence.
Oh. Internet. Jay has fallen off into.
Oi, having a little bit of a hiccup. There we are. Hello. What happened on your end?
On my
me crashed
into a curly, the circle progress thing for
the toast.
Yeah, the toast thing. Why do they call them toast?
I don't know why that's called toast.
Yeah, I know. There's also the concept of toast on Android is also like posting notifications at the top of the toast. I don't get it.
Yeah. Why is it called like a stack? It's like a stack of toasted bread.
I almost asked ChatGPT, but
ask the internet. Well, precisely anything.
Oh, okay. It's basically because the ones on phones where it's called a toast notification. It's called that because it pops up like a slice of toast pops out of the toaster. So they're called toast. That's
okay. Just yeah.
It's like pong. But I don't know why they call the swirly thing a toast.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But that's definitely what people relate to it. Okay, so to go back through some of the top candidates here, I am going to pull this back up.
I just searched that. So I asked, what is the swirly progress thing called? Out of curiosity. And the technical term I have not heard before is amazing. The technical term is a throbber.
Whoa, that's...
Here's the Wikipedia. It's Wikipedia. There's a whole article about them with examples and stuff.
Wow. I get why people don't use that widely. That's, yeah.
Why is it
somebody was
just like... It's got a great example of the historic one, which is the Netscape logo, which is just the Netscape logo, but every now and again a shooting star flies through it, which is great. I love that one all the time. Oh, back in the day, that's right. Back in the day, the original version was an N that got bigger and smaller, so it's called a throbber. Back on Netscape version 1, and then they replaced it with the one with the shooting star.
Throbber. They could call it Pulse or a Pulsar or something.
Yeah, but this would have been one of those things where a bunch of nerds saw something the art team did and then gave it a name that they thought was funny.
It's throbbing. Oh, okay.
Why is my beard black in places? Can you see this? The mustache here. It looks really dark.
No, I do not.
You don't see this?
Oh, wait, like in the middle? No, I do see that it's darker there.
Just here. No, but just here. The mustache at the top is like a dark line here and a darker line there.
Oh, like you have like a little. It's like
it's like I'm breathing out black smoke and it's tainted my mustache.
Is that not how it looks in real life?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay, interesting. It's the contrast is enhancement on your video.
Oh, that's a detail I'll have to fix before we actually start streaming this seriously. Because I do look weird. Like it looks like my nose has been dribbling.
Yeah, it's a little wet.
Yeah.
Mustaches often look a bit strange on these things because the individual hair fibers are not usually large enough to warrant a pixel. So you get weird aliasing effect.
You have to grow it out so that it's a little more exaggerated in real life, but it'll look better.
I have to twist it up and do a dolly or something.
Yeah, you need the dolly swirl.
Yeah.
Okay.
The dolly swirl.
Okay. So, looking at the arrangement of names that we actually greenlighted here, we've got a few other things. And here's something else.
Now for something completely different.
Now for something else. Now for something unrelated. Something unrelated. All and sundry is not taken, but I feel like I'm not really a fan of the word sundry now.
Yep, fair enough. I think I've
all about
me as well.
All about anything.
All about anything I like, but I like less than precisely anything.
Yeah, I precisely anything flows a little bit better, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. I meant to add another circle there. Let's see. No, probably relevant. Probably relevant. Possibly relevant. It does very much sound like irrelevant. Probably irrelevant.
Probably relevant. Yeah, there's pronunciation thing there.
It's difficult because of the end of probably.
I like that, but it is a bit too similar to that other one, and that you have the pronunciation thing.
Yeah, ambiguously related. Other ones that we marked green here. Specifically general. I like generally specific better of those two options.
Yeah, same.
So even though it's one that's generally specific. Precisely generally specific. I still like precisely anything better than generally specific.
Of the things we have written down, precisely anything I think is the best.
Yeah. So to me, that's a strong candidate at this point. Maybe for now, we should change the Jay and Tron do podcasts to precisely anything podcast or precisely anything.
See how it sticks. See if we hate it in a week.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Precisely anything. Okay, well that's a good start on that subject.
Okay.
Let's go back to our list of things to do. So that's one of the honestly to me that's one of the hardest, deciding on a name that is
that
simple.
One that's such a dependency for all the other things to move forward. Because you get to the damn text box and you're like, what do I put in there?
Yeah. It is occasionally joked that the hardest thing about programming is working out what to name your variables.
What to call your variable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't think
and being consistent about it. It's the challenge for me is always just figuring out what did I call that a year ago or 6 months ago, and now I feel like it should be something different. So I named something else related, slightly varied.
Yeah, just because the name is good enough for me today doesn't mean that the name will be good enough for me in 3 weeks. I will change my mind, and it has to stick with me. Eventually, something sticks, and I love it, and it's become part of my lingo. But it
takes a few iterations to find generality.
Yeah,
generally anything. Okay, so we've got that. If we go back to the thing here, we've got
precisely anything. A conversation about basically anything we can think of. I feel like we can roll with that. We can do something with that.
We'll keep massaging that.
We'll keep massaging that, but it feels usable. Whereas a lot of the rest are like, this is an interesting idea and an interesting direction, but it doesn't quite work in the actual words.
Yeah, it's like precisely anything. Discussions around basically anything, around precisely anything. We'll figure that out.
Yeah. Take a line when you work out. So
now we need to set up a channel on Twitch, a channel on YouTube. And that also brings deciding on branding and logo up a little bit higher.
It does, yeah.
And maybe a website.
We don't need the website right away because presumably we want to record a set before we actually try and publish them.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary right now. When we have a catalog of actual episodes that we're like, these are good, then it's useful. It's useful. Discuss promotion. Decide plans for first episode.
Yeah, so basically at some point we need to pick a first person and schedule it.
Yeah,
and maybe we should talk a little about what does that look like? Like what sorts of topics should we choose, etc., etc.
Well, who do we actually have that is ready to jump into a discussion that would be a good primary guest?
Hold a second, I'm trying to get Twitch to shut up. Shut up, Twitch. Why? Who is this person and why are they talking? I wish Twitch wouldn't decide that I actually want to follow that. Like I get that when you go to the page, you might show me a stream. Okay, that makes sense. But then when I go to another page, why would you then pop up that stream into a little floaty thing when I haven't even said I'm interested in it?
Twitch has become a little bit more clickbaity or TikTok-like in that it really just pushes content into your face more aggressively these days.
Yeah.
Than it used to. Okay, YouTube. So you're setting up a Twitch right now?
I had I'm mostly just looking at the options of how do you do this and how do you manage it, because it's one of the things that sometimes you create a channel and it's associated directly with your account. Whereas other times you create it and then you add you to it and then you add other people to it and then the channel is separate from the person, if that makes sense. So I'm just trying to understand how it works here.
Yep.
Okay. If that's correct.
I think you can set up multiple. I'm trying to figure out how to set up multiple channels. I have a YouTube account. I should be able to set up another channel associated with it.
Yeah, I have a channel called Tron Nilsson that has precisely nothing on it because I've never used it. I must be able to create channels that are not my name.
Create channel. Here we go. I got it. Okay, so precisely. And you're setting up the Twitch. I'm
looking at doing this on Twitch. You're doing this on YouTube?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a thing on YouTube, on Twitch, that lets me create channels independently of myself.
Oh, gotcha. Precisely thing.
Oh, it's created dashboard.
Okay. It does create a new Google account. Oh, that's fine.
That's fine. But then you can also go into the settings and add people to it.
Yep. All right. Precisely anything. Of course, I'm going to subscribe to this channel. Oh crap! I feel like that's dumb. The name precisely anything on YouTube in the URL is not available, so it tacked on a dash with some other letters.
Could you try precisely dash anything, those sorts of things?
I could. Let me see what I can do here. Let's see. Let's go to here, customize the channel. Yep. Basic info, precisely anything. Oh wait, no, Precisely Anything is actually available.
Yeah, cool.
Nice. Been having some luck with names and availability on social lately.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, because Riftworks was also just pretty widely, like I was able to get all the useful variations of domain and get social media accounts under that and everything. Description. Well, you had a generic description that you used somewhere for, or a generic tagline sort of thing.
Oh, I didn't write anything down. I was saying precisely. I'll write it down. I'll write down what I was saying. Anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Conversation.
Organize, arrange, coordinated conversations about Precisely Anything.
Yeah, why don't you just do that? Just that can be the tagline. Coordinated conversation about Precisely Anything. Yep.
Coordinated conversation, or planned. What about planned? It's less wordy. Planned conversation about Precisely Anything.
Plan doesn't say very much though.
Okay.
Simple coordinated, and we'll come back to that because it's not the right word, I don't think, but it is better than anything else that jumps at me.
Coordinated, arranged conversations.
So Twitch is based on the premise that you create an account and that account is a channel, as opposed to the idea of I create an account and then I use that account to manage channels.
Oh, okay. So you can manage it with your other.
No, so I'm saying it's not set up that way. So when I create an account, that account is a channel, but I can't create additional channels with that unless I do some weird shit that I'm trying to make sense of.
Okay.
Security and privacy tab. Okay. Weird. You go into security and privacy to enable the ability to create additional accounts.
Do you want to have a unique? I guess there is a unique Gmail for this.
If it creates one, we may as well have it.
Okay. It's not currently going to be an email address on there, but I will. Got figured out. Let's publish that. Branding. We'll need to do something fun. That. The moment, I'm just going to drop in old stuff from the other podcast that didn't get used again. Oh, it's misting over here. I'm sitting on the lanai of my grandparents' house.
Nice.
In Hawaii right now.
You need to have a Hawaii party for us all. We're actually Virtual World Society. We're doing a project with a Hawaiian Indigenous project of some kind with a guy. I don't know. His name's Pono, but I think he's on Molokai. But we're building.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's a really cool project that we may actually better get some funding from. But he ends every meeting with, "You guys just come out. We'll have a barbecue." And we're like, "Yes, we should just do that."
Absolutely.
Absolutely want to do that. Definitely.
Okay, let's get one more here. Oh, I don't have one of those images without any text in it. Just use this. That works. Okay, that's going to be it for now. I'm going to send you a link to this channel here soon, shortly.
Yeah, I'm just learning how this actually works. So it looks like the way you do it in Twitch is you have, when you create an account, that account has a channel associated with it. So every account has a channel associated with it. And if you want to create channels for sharing, you basically have to make a new account. And you can do that either by using a new email address, or there's a setting you can go in and turn on that allows you to make multiple accounts keyed off the same email address and just have different passwords.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and make a new account that keys back to my email address, and then once I have that set up, I can then add you as an editor to it.
Channel trailer for people who haven't subscribed. No, a trailer. That would be useful. Yep. You can do featured sections, short video clips, past live streams, playlists, all that stuff.
Oh, we're just going to come and tell me I'm going to pick up Siggy.
Videos in the right corner. Oh yeah, like a watermark would be useful.
I'm going to have to run off and pick up Siggy, and I'm just looking at time.
Okay.
But we have made a lot of progress today, so it's really awesome.
Yes.
So the next thing we should really be doing, let's aim next time to come up with the solid goal for next time is come up with a plan for our first episode. And pick a person, pick a couple of friends who are literally just interested in doing it because they're friends, and we'll do a conversation. We'll tell a couple of other friends that we're doing it, and we'll just work through it as like a dry run.
Yeah. My friend Forrest's already ready to go.
Cool.
So he'll be a good starting point. This is the link to the YouTube channel.
Awesome. I am just doing things for this. Just tell. Can I just give me a second? Just tell the person.
Let's see what we got here. All right. So I'm going to cut off the stream for today, but I think that was a good session.